Okay, so in this video, we're going to talk about how to recognize if you are dating an emotionally unavailable guy, right? We're also going to look at why these guys might be emotionally unavailable and if we should continue to date an emotionally unavailable guy. So when we say emotionally unavailable, we mean like this is a person who is not comfortable sharing their own emotions. They are not comfortable sharing their feelings with others, right? And being present and responsive to someone else's emotions is difficult for them, right? So they have a inability to maintain emotional bonds in a relationship. They are unable to connect to their own feelings and unable to connect to their partner's feelings, right? They have a trouble opening up emotionally. They shy away from discussing anything that has to do with feelings and emotions. So an emotionally unavailable person, they fear intimacy, right? It could be consciously or it could be unconscious, where this person creates a wall that prevents you from being close to them, and it's very hard for them to be intimate with another person. So if you're dating a guy and you feel like he's ghosting you, he's breadcrumbing you, or he's benching you, or he's like zombieing you, you're probably dating an emotionally unavailable guy. So if you're not sure if he's going to get back to you, or you're going to hear back from him today or the day after or a week after or a month after, you're probably dating an emotionally unavailable guy, right? So somebody who wants a relationship would actually prioritize spending time with you and connecting with you. So if they're busy, they would and they should send a quick text to say, at work, we'll text you tonight. At work, call you tonight. At work, call you tomorrow, or something like that. So if they can't be bothered to give you a heads up or to consider that you yourself might also be busy, they're probably an emotionally unavailable guy. So we're going to get into more signs of an emotionally unavailable guy to see if you're dating one or to see if you're in a relationship with one. So continuing the signs, well, they are actually always unavailable, right? So when it comes to communicating, texting, calling, they probably would not respond, or they take a very long time to respond to your messages, or they might not even answer your calls, or they might not call back if you call them. So sometimes they're just nowhere to be found, right? So that's a sign that they're emotionally unavailable. Next sign is that they don't really care about your time. So most of the time they will always show up late. They might cancel plans 30 minutes before, 10 minutes before. They just avoid spending quality time with you, and they're not really flexible with their schedule. So if they have something already planned, it's more than likely they will not try to reschedule or fill you into their schedule, right? So basically they call the shots when you meet up. It's very hard for them to restructure their time to be with you. They only care about what they want to do in that moment. So they will cancel on you really easily. It's very difficult for them to give up. Even if they have free time, it's difficult for them to give up their free time to meet with you, right? Next sign they're emotionally unavailable is that they are perfectionists. They might not express that to you and say that they are perfectionists, but they seem like a perfectionist, and they always try to find flaws within you to show or to prove that you don't belong together, that you should not be together, that you shouldn't be dating. And next sign that they're emotionally unavailable is emotions are like a weakness to them. They avoid intimacy. They're not vulnerable. They wouldn't share their feelings. They don't share their emotions or thoughts with you. They don't necessarily listen to you either. They don't open up to you. They don't talk about personal issues with you. It's like, it seems as if they don't want to feel anything. They don't show their feelings. They come off as detached and like they don't want to express anything. And if you're talking about something that deals with emotions or feelings, they would change the topic, or they would just withdraw, or they would just try to keep things light within the conversation, right? And next sign that you're dating an emotionally unavailable guy is that he is not affectionate, right? In terms, when I say affectionate, I'm talking about physical affection and emotional connection. So he don't kiss you, he don't hug you, he don't cuddle with you, he don't really show you love in any type of way, right? He lack compassion and he lack understanding when you are talking or expressing anything to him. He hardly like really listen to you. So he's not affectionate. Next sign, he makes you feel misunderstood. So if you might have views or different opinions on something, or you might share your emotion or feeling on something, he does not really validate your emotion, and he try to like maybe make you seem wrong for feeling that way, and doing all of this kind of push you away. So most of the time you feel misunderstood. Next sign is that they're defensive. Like when it comes to sharing their emotions, or you sharing your emotions, it's like they put a guard up. They try to block you out, right? They might try to blame you or gaslight you for problems within the relationship. So it's just that they find it very hard to trust you or to trust people in general, right? So they don't recognize and confront their own feelings. So they rather be defensive about their own feelings and your feelings. So it's very rare that they would initiate a conversation that would deal with the relationship dynamic, or feelings being hurt, any misunderstandings that might be within the relationship. They are defensive about that. They will create an excuse. They will try to blame you or gaslight you. If you request for them to like be better or change, they would be defensive and maybe gaslight you and put a wall up, right? So that's another sign, being defensive. Next is that, and these points kind of relate to each other. Some of them it's like a continuation of what I'm saying. So next sign is that they don't like to talk about real issues, right? So if there's conflict between you guys, it would more than likely not be resolved. Every time you try to get close to them or talk about something important, it's like try to create a bond. It's like you hit a wall. You could never try to get them to talk about something serious or issues that pertains to relationship for you to get closer. You always feel like you hit a wall, right? Next sign that you are dating a guy that is emotionally unavailable, or in a relationship with a guy who is emotionally unavailable, is that they don't commit, right? Even if you're in a relationship, it might never seem to progress to becoming more serious. If you're dating, they probably would not commit to you. So it seems as if like they might not be into long-term relationships. So if you guys seem to look like you're looking like a couple, or things are starting to get serious, or it's starting to look like a relationship, they would start to ghost you, zombie you, bench you, Like they will start to like drop. I usually say they drop off the earth, they just disappear. They're like nowhere to be found, right? So they don't like commitment. Right? So next sign is that you know nothing about him, you know nothing about his past. Every time you try to, I don't know, investigate or try to get to know him, he avoid answering questions. He is very vague. If he answer a question, it's really vague. You don't really get to know him because he's really like vague and shy away from question. He just seems closed off and disconnected from himself and disconnected from you. Next sign you're dating an emotionally unavailable guy is that he's quick to have sex with you, but there's not an emotional connection. So there's no emotions, there's no like emotional connection or attachment. Like they might lack eye contact, there's no affection outside of sex, there's no affection, right? They avoid intimacy. So when I say avoid intimacy or share or fair intimacy, I mean that when I say intimacy, I'm not necessarily referring to sex only. Sex could be a form of intimacy, but when I say fair intimacy, I mean like they don't hug you, kiss you, hold your hand, show affection, show that they were thinking about you. They don't have intimate conversations with you. They don't really listen to you properly. So they would fear intimacy and they avoid intimacy. So but they would have sex with you really quick. So that's one sign that they could be emotionally unavailable. Next time, it seems as if he just think about himself, because he usually would blow you off really easy. He always say he's busy, always busy, never reschedule with you, cancel on you really quickly. Basically, he does not show up for you. He's nowhere to be found. He doesn't show up. So that's a sign. So it's like what he's doing in his life seems to be always more important than what you're doing. And well, basically he see that he's always busy. So you're left to assume and you suspect that maybe he has been haunted by the past or he's traumatized by something. You don't know. He never really expressed to you or explained to you why he's like this. So he comes off as self-centered, right? So it's like he doesn't try to get to know you. He doesn't ask questions about you. He does not invest in the friendship. You're like, you could feel and you know that you're not a priority and you just never seem to get close. So that's another sign. Another sign that he's emotionally unavailable is that he is hot and cold, in and out, withdraw from you, ignore your messages, doesn't call back, doesn't call you, hardly keep in touch. And even if he keep in touch, it's really low effort. If he texts you, it might just be, hey, what's up? He's not really trying to plan to meet with you. The conversation is like he's not leading the conversation. You're not necessarily talking about anything. So it's really low effort. So he breadcrumb you, bench you, zombie you. Same thing I was saying, disappear off the earth. He doesn't plan dates with you. Right? Next sign that he is emotionally unavailable would be he is unsympathetic and unempathetic. So that's understandable because he cannot really, well, he don't consider his own feelings. So to consider your feelings would be difficult, right? So if you don't explore his own emotions, he might lack personal insight about his own feelings and his own life. So he might not be able to show empathy for you or be sympathetic because feeling his own emotions is probably a problem to him. Next sign is that, well, he looks self-centered. I was explaining that if he talks, it's mostly only about himself. Next sign, You do all the relationship work. He doesn't plan dates. He doesn't initiate contact. Most of the time, you're texting first, you're calling first. He doesn't make plans with you. And if you don't make plans, nothing ever happens. Nothing happens. If you're not trying to meet up with him or making you guys meet, nothing will happen. And when you're not spending time together, you hardly hear from him. Right? He takes a long time to respond, many hours to respond, 5 to 6 hours to respond, days to respond. Even if it's an important message, he might not respond. If you call him a couple times, he might not call you back. Sometimes you have important issues that you need to talk about, and he would say, I'd rather talk to you face to face about this, but you don't really see him. You don't see him, you don't meet up. So when he say, I'll talk to you face to face about that, it's just strange because he's not planning to meet you. You're not really meeting up unless you're trying to meet with him. So those are many signs that you're dating an emotionally unavailable guy, right? Why they are like this? Well, we're going to get into that. Causes of being emotionally unavailable. We're going to try to figure out why they might be like this. And the first reason could be that in their childhood, there was problems with communication and relationship with their parents and them. So basically what I'm referring to is the attachment theory, right? There are 4 attachment styles. There's secure, there's anxious attachment style, and there's avoidant attachment style, and there's fearful avoidance. So those are 4 attachment styles. They are created in childhood with our caregivers and with our parents. So depending on the affection and the emotional support that we get, we form these types of attachment styles. So briefly, if you have secure attachment style, that means you got affection and emotional support from your parents. If you were anxious, that means you probably got your parents probably were inconsistent when they bond with you. Maybe sometimes they show up for you, they support you, and sometimes they're not there, they neglect you emotionally. If you're avoidant, it's probably because your caregiver probably was strict with you. You was not allowed to be too expressive. They deny affection from you, or they didn't give you the emotional support that you need, and you become avoidant. So next is fearful avoidant, which could be sometimes your parents might be really angry with you, or they were really aggressive with you, and you start to be afraid of them. You think that your parents were scary, and then sometimes they might show you love and affection, and then it's like confusing. So you want to love your parent and be close to your parent, but you're scared of them because they might be angry and be aggressive with you, but sometimes they show you love, so you become fearful avoidant. So that's just like a brief overview of the 4 attachment styles. So more than likely, if this guy is emotionally unavailable, they probably have avoidant attachment style where their caregiver or their parents deny affection from them, or they were not there to support them emotionally. They probably prevented emotional expression in the home. Their parents were probably strict and required that they become independent and really tough as a young child, so they develop this avoidant attachment style. So yes, our parents, I'm not trying to make parents look bad or caregivers look bad in this video. It's just that we all have been neglected in some way. Maybe they worked long hours, maybe they got a divorce, maybe they died, a parent died, and then one parent had to take care of everything, and then they were not able to give you the emotional support. Maybe your parent just neglected you emotionally because they were also neglected emotionally, and that's what they know. they were abandoned and then they abandon you, they ridicule you, anything could happen. And we carry on this in adulthood. So I'm not blaming parents, I'm not saying parents are bad, I'm just trying to show you how these attachment styles are developed and trying to figure out why some guys are emotionally unavailable, right? So it could be their childhood, their upbringing, and then they become really independent physically and emotionally, and they have a hard time trusting others. So that could be why their childhood. Next, it could be temporary circumstances where maybe they are going through a really hard time in their life and they're probably depressed and they cannot really show up in a good way. Maybe they are working on their career in this moment and there's not enough time or space in their life to respond to you. Maybe someone died, a loved one died in their family, and they're dealing with that, and they're showing up emotionally unavailable. We might not know. Next cause could be they probably had a really bad breakup. Maybe they were cheated on, or maybe they really love someone and they did not get back the love that they need. Maybe they were in this toxic relationship, chaotic relationship, and they were probably abused in the relationship or emasculated, we don't know, and then they show up like this because they don't trust anybody. They're not really trusting. They decide not to trust females in the future, so they show up like this. So that could be the cause. Those are some causes. There could be many more. I'm just briefly trying to help you to figure out maybe why they are like this. Being emotionally unavailable. As a guy, I'm not saying that these guys are bad people. I say that they seem to be, and they come off as cold and detached and self-centered, self-absorbed. They might not be like that, but that's how they come off, right? Now, should we women date emotionally unavailable guys or be with emotionally unavailable guys? I would say we should not, because you would waste a lot of time being in dating and being in a relationship with somebody who is not showing you that you're important, who is not making you a priority, and feeling unloved and unwanted could really damage your self-esteem, and you will waste a lot of time and effort and your attention, and you would not enjoy dating, you will not enjoy the relationship. Most of the time you will feel unloved, unwanted, and undesired, and that is not what you want as a female. Females, we need to feel important, we need to feel that we are a priority and that we are loved and that we are desired by the person that we're dating or in a relationship with, right? So I would suggest not to date them and not to be in a relationship with them, especially if they're not working on this for themselves, if they're not working to be better. I would not advise you to be with them if they're not going to work on themselves. And change is very hard. Most people, they don't change, they stay the same, because change is very difficult and it takes a very long time. So more than likely they might not change, they might stay the same. So I suggest that you do not be with them, because it will lower your self-esteem. You will feel like something is wrong with you. You feel like, why you're not good enough? You will put in a lot of effort, time, and energy trying to create this relationship or whatever you're trying to do, and you're going to feel exhausted and burn out, and you're not going to have anything to show, right? You're just going to waste your time and your effort. So if you're a man watching this, anybody could be watching this, I don't know who's watching this, women we are attracted to leadership and confidence. So we actually want you to chase us, to show that you want to be with us, to plan dates, to show that you like us, to show that you love us, right? So being emotionally unavailable will not, if you want a high quality relationship, showing up like that would not really help your relationship. You would always have difficulties in your relationship. Women like when you show who you really are, when you show your true personality, when you accept your past and you're comfortable to explain why you are the way you are, right? We like to feel bond. We like to feel a bond. We like to feel emotional closeness, and we like to feel connected. And being cold and withdrawing would not be the best way, because women, we like to feel closeness, we like to feel connected, and we like to feel that we have a bond with you. So if you're not sharing your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions, you're not going to have a high quality relationship, right? We want to be chased, we want to feel wanted, we want to feel desired, and showing up like this, emotionally unavailable, would have you stuck in your romantic life. Your romantic life would always have difficulties. It will never be fulfilling. I'm just saying that you appear cold, you appear detached, you appear self-centered, unloving, unfriendly, and uncaring. I'm not saying that you are that, but that is how you appear. So I hope that if you're a man watching this, that you change and you work on this, and if you're a woman watching this, that you decide to cut it off and stop wasting your time if this guy is not going to change and be better. So that's all I have for this video, and see you in the next video.